Howdy, I'm Bill Gray. I've been a motorcyclist since 1958. I'm a Charter Life member of the American Motorcyclist Association, and I've been a member of the Jmp family for over 20 years now. I want to talk to you a few moments about suspension on your motorcycle. Suspension adds a great deal not only to your comfort but to your safety. A properly working suspension means the motorcycle goes where you aim it. Let's begin by talking about replacing the suspension that came with the motorcycle. Understand that shocks and fork springs and those type of things, when they're come with the motorcycle, were all supplied by the lowest possible bidder. So it's not surprising that these components will wear out fairly quickly. And we found that particularly true of suspension components. So if you're looking to replace a worn out set of shocks, this is one of the best values you can find. This is the Jmp Shock Absorber. As you can see, it's manufactured by Progressive Suspension for us, so you get the best of both worlds. It's a very economical set of shocks, and yet it does everything that the very best shocks do. You'll find that they have the adjustable preload. Preload is the amount of tension we put on the spring based upon what you think you're going to be carrying. If you're going to ride two up with a lot of luggage, you adjust that spring accordingly. On the other hand, if you're a solo rider who rarely carries luggage, you can lighten the preload up, get much better handling. It's a terrific shock. It's available at a great price. Now, many people who ride in a wide variety of situations want a shock with a little more adjustability to it. It is amazing how many brand new motorcycles customers call and say, I've got a new bike, I need to lower the bike. The bike's too tall, I'm not comfortable where my feet are. Well, suspension is obviously one of those places where you can make that adjustment. Obviously, you understand that when you do that, you're giving up a little travel. So we suggest moderation. If you're going to try to lower the suspension to get your feet closer to the ground, we strongly suggest you don't go more than an inch, absolutely 2 at the most. Which brings us to a shock that I don't have here, but we sold out of during our open house, and that is the Progressive 944. The beauty of that shock is it has a dual spring. It has both a round spring and a flat spring, so that when it's installed on the motorcycle compresses the shock by about an inch. So you get that lowering, and yet you still have that inch of travel on rebound. So it's a terrific combination. Not only can you adjust the preload on that, but you can adjust the dampening rate as well. Dampening, by the way, when we refer to that, and you'll hear it referred to often with shocks, that controls the rate of rebound on a shock. When you hit a sharp object, you want a good response to that. Now, let me show you the ultimate shock absorber. This is the Progressive Suspension Model 970. It features a remote reservoir, which allows the nitrogen, which is used to control the acceleration, deceleration of the shock. In a remote reservoir, this shock performs, it runs much cooler, or it operates at a cooler temperature. The compression dampening on this shock is controlled by a dial on the back of the remote reservoir. For those who want the ultimate in suspension and control, it's the Progressive 970. Now let's talk about the front end of the motorcycle. Again, it is not uncommon to find that a set of fork springs, that is those springs inside the fork, need to be replaced fairly early in the life of a motorcycle. My last motorcycle, I replaced the front fork springs at about 20,000 miles. They had just given up. We have two options here. You can replace the spring with a stock length, which many people do. You'll find that we sell the full line of Progressive fork springs for that purpose. And we've also found many people, so many in fact, that we have actually produced a series of kits. Many people will control the height of the motorcycle and again get their feet a little closer to the ground by using one of Progressive's fork lowering kits. Now this is a very specific design. It consists of 3 components. The first is a round wrap spring, very much like the one that came in the bike, and almost identical to the one that you'll use if you just buy a set of front fork springs. It also contains a flat wound spring, and as you can see from what I'm doing here, this gives you a much softer ride. It's actually going to compress under the weight of the motorcycle. And finally, we have simply an insert. This is simply taking up space, that's all it does. And what you will find with this particular kit is not only do you gain the inch, which puts your feet a little closer to the ground, get an extremely soft ride because you have the dual wound springs. Finally, the ultimate in front suspension. These are not available yet for every motorcycle, but the list is growing. And this is a particularly nice addition if you own a Harley-Davidson touring bike. This is called the monotube. And unlike any other front suspension component out there, what this is a nitrogen-operated shock absorber built within a fork tube. And you simply replace the existing springs. This is usually a dealer-installed option. You replace the springs that come in it with the monotubes, and it gives you such a precise feel in terms of the handling. That wandering feeling you get when you go into a turn at high speed. Trust me, the forks will behave completely different if you use the monotube. This is one of the fastest growing products in our line and represents an entirely new era in suspension. Now I know you may have lots of other questions about suspension, and those questions can be answered by going to our website, www.jpcycles.com. Our techs are waiting to hear from you, and we'll help you in any way we can. We have all the products that you need at Jmp Cycle. This is Bill Gray, and we'll see you in the next segment.